Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula and the people who serve Ponchatoula. And I'm so excited about today's guest. This is somebody that people have been dying to hear from. He's one of the most popular people in our community. He has served our community very well for over a decade now as our parish president. He's somebody I've known for much longer because he worked with my dad at the sheriff's office once upon a time, many moons ago. I know you won't believe it. He looks much too young to have been there during the Layrisson era, but believe me, I saw it with my own two eyes. We had fun days on the campaign trail when we were kids, when I was a kid and he was a young man. And he's just somebody I've always looked up to. So with no further ado, I bring to you Parish President Robby Miller. Robby, welcome to the show. Why don't you kick things off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Parker. I appreciate it. And you gave me chills talking about that intro because it was some fun times, and it seems like it was decades ago. It seems like a lifetime ago.
But, it really does. It's wild. But I remember you and Donna, kind of a dynamic duo. And I remember, as I recall, Dad paired you with a bunch of, little old ladies, and y'all had quite a crew. This was during the pink campaign shirt era, as I recall.
And look, your dad set the bar on how to campaign too. There's no doubt about it.
We were blessed. My dad and Bree have now won 12 elections in a row, and wow. I think everyone since Daddy's first race when he was a challenger was a landslide. So I know you know a lot about winning elections, and we'll ask you about your political career. But before we get there, just tell us about your background and kind of how you got here.
So I grew up in Baton Rouge, and I thought I was going to play in the NFL. Loved football, and went to school at Central High School in Baton Rouge. Got a chance to play college football, and went to Monroe for 2 years. Got injured. The coaching staff changed. Thought I was just going to go back to Baton Rouge and go to LSU and finish school. And my buddy, Charlie Hebert, he passed away in 2016. My best friend had gone to Monroe. We went there together, but he came to Southeastern after 1 year, and it convinced me to come to Southeastern. I talked to Coach Lofton and got to stay. Growing up in Baton Rouge, I went to St. Pius 10th Elementary School. I went to Redemptorist Junior High and then Central High School, which was like no-no. I was supposed to stay at Redemptorist the whole time. My three sisters went to Redemptorist. I got three older sisters. My mom and dad were incredible. I'm spoiled. Three older sisters. I'm spoiled. I'm not rotten, but I'm spoiled. Today I can go home and never get up. I'm 62 years old, and my sisters that are all older than me would wait on me hand and foot if I let them.
Neat.
Hopefully they're not watching this because they'll quit if
you don't want to run them off. But it sounds like probably a lot of disappointed Catholics when the star football player decided to take his talents to Central instead of staying in Redemptorist.
I was a little bitty guy, but I did get recruited to go to Central High School by a guy named Matt Fall and Johnny Prejean. Sonny Jackson was the head coach there. Any old football players and coaches probably know those guys. Incredible football coaching staff at Central. Taught us a whole lot more than football, as all sports do, right? And
Central was beating us up in high school when I was there. I mean, they had the McClure brothers, and whether you were playing baseball or football, there's this other guy, Weiss, who was a better baseball player than anybody back then.
Absolutely, and actually, their dad, Trey and Todd McClure's dad, Leo, coached me at Central. He was a brand new graduate and went to Central High School as a coach and was an assistant football coach. Head basketball coach after a few years. So a lot of connections there. But so I ended up at Southeastern to finish my football career. I thought I was going to, like I said, just go back to school, but my buddy Charlie Hebert convinced me to come to Southeastern. So I played. And back in the day, whenever you transferred, you had to sit out a year. So I actually practiced for 1 year and then played for 2. I was an okay player. I got on the field, played special teams and backed up at linebacker and defensive end. Got on the field some. It was a lot of fun, but the best part about it all was just being on a team with a bunch of guys that when you at that time, just because we love football, and got an education for it. So, but one day walking across I tell the story at Southeastern orientation, but I was standing and we were studying over at Razzie's or whatever the bar room was around the corner across the tracks in this beautiful black-headed, big black eyes, incredible smile came bebopping with some boyfriend in tow. And I watched her go by and smiled, and she smiled at me. And it was done. I went home and told my roommate. I went and told my roommate, I'm in love, man. He said, "Well, who?" I said, "I don't know. I didn't meet her." Described her, and he knew her. He knew it was Donna DeStefano. And over about a year, it took me to finally meet her. And,
you had to get her to shake that boyfriend that she was with when you saw her,
I had
right?
to figure that one out. It took, I think, let's see, that was probably 1980. Let's see, I graduated in December of '84, so that was probably like '83. So since 1983, I've been chasing her or with her for that time.
That's an amazing love story. That's it. That was a magical year. My brother Jean Paul graduated high school that year. '83. My dad once upon a time was in a movie called Spring Break '83. That's a big year in the Layrisson family. So apparently a bigger one for the Millers.
At the same time, during that time, my dad worked at Formosa Plastics in Baton Rouge, and his company was a client of a guy named Mickey Zadaran. And my dad said,
whoa!
Yeah.
Yes.
He said, "You got to meet Mickey."
Wow.
So I went and met Mickey, and took me to dinner a few times. Next thing you know, he's like, "You graduated?" He said, "Yeah, in computer science." He said, "I got to move all my stuff to computers. Come over here and help me." So I actually went to work for Mickey, and from that is where I went there. I started working with him in '84. Your dad had just been elected. If I think it was about.
Your dad got elected in '79 and took office in '80. So that was the early days.
So yeah, we were. Evidently, I helped in the '83 campaign, and then we helped really big in the '87 campaign.
Yeah.
Because of Mickey. So I got to know your dad, John Dahmer. Mickey got me hooked up with all of the players going on. I didn't know. Growing up in Baton Rouge, my dad, they voted. They were unbelievably patriotic, devoted, great citizens and all that stuff, great people, but didn't get involved in campaigns per se. I can probably remember
the political stuff, getting here and working in it. And what a great introduction. I mean, Mickey, what a varied career. This is a guy who was a pop star at one time. He had a TV show in New Orleans, and of course, everybody in Hammond knows him and loves him. But wow,
author. Don't forget, he's an author too. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, where in the world is Murray Ross? Or Mickey, forgive me if you're watching. I'm bungled the title, but I remember the book. My parents had it on their the coffee table.
Mick Parish. Mick
Parish was his stage name, right? Yeah. I think he might have opened for Johnny Cash or something. The Highwayman, maybe. He's got a wild backstory. That's so cool.
Mickey and I worked with Mickey. I worked with Mickey for probably like 5-6 years before we went into the computer business and had our own business after that.
Yeah. So before we get into your computer career, let me back up a little bit on the football front, because we've all got football in the brain right now. Even though the Tigers didn't do that well this year, the whole Lane Kiffin saga, and right now, we just coming off recruiting and all. And Southeastern, of course, had a great year with the playoffs. My alma mater, Tulane, is in the playoffs, playing this weekend against Ole Miss. And but you mentioned playing in Monroe, and of course, some of Ponchatoula's favorite sons have played there. Henry Powell, Brett Chatelaine. Did you overlap with any of those guys? I think
I did not. No, I was going for them. We did have some of the same coaching staff.
Neat.
A guy named Pat Collins, who took over my second year as the head coach. Ended up coaching Henry through a national championship team. So wow, Brett was there too. I don't know if Brett was there then.
Yeah, that's neat, because I know Henry's widely regarded, as one of their better players and just tough guys. Because I teach trial advocacy at LSU in a program where we recruit some of the best trial lawyers from around the country, especially LSU grads when we can. And they bring in this lawyer who's the head of a section at one of the biggest firms in Texas. And here's him from Ponchatoula. And he's like, "Do you know Henry Powell?" And this guy had been a linebacker on one of those great teams in Monroe. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know Henry. He's a buddy." And he was like, he was much man on that defensive line. He doesn't look like a defensive lineman stature-wise, but I mean, except for the muscles. But man, he said Henry was a beast up there. So thanks for sharing all that. Let's talk about your business, because you're at that point a very young man, and you go into business in the computer sector. And this is when personal computers or any kind of computers were really new. I mean, Dad would always tell me that the big computers y'all had for him at the sheriff's office would take up a whole room or a wing or whatever. So Mickey's your introduction. What's the next step there, and how do you get into your own business?
Yeah, so I graduated in computer science, and so it really teaches you how to write code and all. In my day, anyway, taught you how to write code and that sort of thing for those big computers. And I went to work with Mickey. just moved all his stuff to a PC. Well, actually, we were buying the PC and talking to the vendors all around. I just wasn't getting treated very well when I was trying to find that PC. And my dad had worked with a gentleman named Robby Miller who started a computer kind of chain called PC Warehouse. And so I ended up buying that computer from Robby Miller. And from that conversation, I was like, Mr. Robin, how do we get into this business? Because, I mean, y'all gave me a great price. You talked to me on the phone. You helped me, you educated me, you did what I needed to do. And so we started talking about that. It took a couple of 3 years while I was working for Mickey to work that through. And working with your dad at the sheriff's office, running the mainframe, as I guess you'd call it, keeping that system running and keeping all the people, using that software. There weren't very many departments that were actually using the software, but there were some. And so doing all that, and basically broke away and started a computer company, PC Warehouse, in Baton Rouge. We did it in Baton Rouge for the larger market, but I ran all over the place in Tangipahoa Parish and all over the Southeast, delivering and setting up and all that. Got very fortunate, did a great job, got really good people working with us. A lot of hard work. Donna was incredible. She's a dental hygienist. She's a dental hygienist, was working 4 days a week doing dental hygiene, would come work with me the other 2 days because we were open Monday through Saturday. She was a crazy sales. She was unbelievable.
I bet I'd buy from no offense. I'd buy from you, but I'd buy double from her. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, tell me about that entrepreneurial leap, if you would. Going out on your own, doing it young, because we've had a lot of successful business people on the show, and you certainly qualify as one of them. And I always enjoy hearing the story of kind of what gave you, that push, because it takes a lot of guts and it's terrifying.
Well, I don't know about the terrifying part. Was kind of, you think about it and you say, yeah, but I can do it, and we go. And my grandfather, my dad's father, was an entrepreneur. I always looked doing it, running his own business. They moved several times for him to start new business or be partners. And so my dad didn't want to do that. My dad went to work at Formosa Plastics. Actually, that facility changed hands several times. It's still Formosa today. But so he was settled, but I guess it was in my blood. And my mother's father was a TV repairman, a radio repairman, moved to a TV repairman, worked for himself. So I guess for my two grandfathers, it was sort of in my blood without knowing it. And now my mother's dad, my grandpa on her side passed away before I was born. But my Papa Miller was, I used to go hang out with him at his store and watch him work. And so I guess I got some of that in doing it, but I was always looking for some new thing to do. Then the computer business showed up and tied into my knowledge and what I could learn and continue to keep up with. And I was 27. Donna was turning 26 whenever we opened that store in Baton Rouge. But she worked her butt off at that dental hygiene as a dental hygienist, keeping us, paying the bills while we were building that business.
Well, it only works if you have buy-in and support from your spouse. It can't work without it.
For sure.
It sounds like y'all were completely in sync.
For sure, no doubt. Donna's, I mentioned earlier, I met her, and we've been married almost a little over 38 years, 4 kids.
Wow.
Been through a whole lot of really great times and a few tough ones trying. You know what? It's we were committed when we got married. We got married at Holy Ghost Catholic.
So did I. It's a great place. Now, I'm only a third of the way to your total. Brandy and I are like 13, 15
there
years.
You go.
But
you better know the right number. Parker, you better know the right number.
I know. It's 13 years married, 15 together. So I better know it if I don't. Like you, I outkicked my coverage with a beautiful Sicilian. So I know better.
This morning I was telling somebody. I said, well, most of us all outkick our coverage because somehow I caught Donna at a weak moment, and she said yes, and we hurried up to the altar. That was for sure.
Same thing for me. I don't know what prompted Brandy to say yes to a date at the Strawberry Festival when I met her, but I'm not letting her take it back. Speaking of beautiful women, Madeline Trosclair is here with a comment. She's watching us live, obviously, and she says that she's looking at 2 of the best, most wholesome men in the parish. Wow, Madeline, that means a lot coming from someone like you. Robbie, how does that make you feel to have someone?
Seriously, I just got it. Got chills whenever somebody says that, I appreciate it greatly. Look, I just tell people I just go to work every day, try to do the right thing, and work hard to do the right thing. And the most fun, look, maybe to get a little philosophical, I started being a little more bold about my faith, and I've been a little bit more bold about talking to men. And I'll tell you sitting here that, your number one job in your whole life is to get your wife and your children to heaven. And that's absolute. That's an absolute.
That's right. You're the spiritual leader of the household. That's 100% correct.
So maybe she sees a little bit of hopefully that truth. And I'm not telling, by no means am I perfect. I'm way far from perfect.
Yeah, me either. None of us are.
But
there hasn't been a perfect man walking the earth in 2,000 years since Jesus was doing it.
The only one, right? One has made it. So.
But Madeline, I want to thank you for chiming in with that positive comment. And to anyone else watching us live, as you can see, we're here with Parish President Robby Miller. And while we're here live on Facebook, we have the opportunity to share your comment with him. So if anybody else is watching, if you've got a question for him, a comment, if you just want to say something nice as Madeline has, please do so. And boy, talking about a man who understands his spiritual duty to the family, to his wife and kids, one of the best men, most faithful Christian, and one of my best friends in the world, Marshall Graves, is chiming in here. And he says that's the best advice for any family, Robby. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being bold in your faith, your Christian faith. And, Marshall, I'm going to give you a plug while we're doing it. Marshall has an outreach ministry that meets on Mondays and Thursdays at the community center in Ponchatoula. They do a fantastic job. He is one of the best resources to youth in our area, but not just to youth, to men. The example that he sets is an inspiration to dads and, husbands like me and you, Robby. And just a great guy. So, folks, if you're looking for a place to learn more about your faith, to learn more about God and Christ and the Bible, there are tons of them. Robby spends his Sundays in Holy Ghost in that Catholic pew. My butt's in the Baptist church in Ponchatoula on Sundays, and Marshall's doing ministry all over all the time. So, find somebody you can talk to. If you don't have a Bible, we can get you a free copy. Contact any of us. While we have that kind of, spirit in the air, if you will, Robby, talk to me, if you don't mind, about what it means to you to be a husband, of 39 years, to be a father to 4 children, because I really admire from the cheap seats I have, which is, seeing you every once in a while and only then. But, I've really been impressed. When my nephews were playing ball with your sons, I got to see you coaching them. I got to hear a lot about how you were raising them and being their dad. As these kids would do, as kids do it right most of the time, mess up a little here and there and need to get checked up. But I'm always getting reports back from Colin and Dylan, my nephews. Tell me, if you don't mind, kind of more about that, where you're coming from and how to get that right.
Well, look, my dad, Robby Miller, passed away a little over a year ago at 88 years old. Just really a hard worker, but he was, no matter what, it was always do the right thing. I mean, and it's like we were supposed to know what it was, even if it's like it's in your heart, you know what the right thing is. Do the right thing. Doesn't matter who's there, what's there. If it's going to hurt you, if it's going to get you in trouble, you always do the right thing. Sometimes you mess up. You got to admit it, but always push hard, work hard, do the right thing. Make sure that the good Lord is what you're really focusing on, that's who your real goal is, and not whether you make a whole bunch of people happy or not. Make sure that you're the best team player you can be. And, he was just pretty hardcore. And I was very fortunate that the coaches I had were in the same line of that. No, I don't think I had one single coach that ever taught us anything that wasn't other than be a great sportsman, have great sportsmanship, but compete with everything you have. You fight till the very end. And when you finish, you recognize the spoils, either the victory or the spoils of defeat, and you deal with it, and that you play the next play. It doesn't matter, you play the next play. Whatever happens on this play, it's over. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
It's gone. Go to the next thing. And so, but you don't go out there and play half-hearted. I mean, you don't go to work and be half-hearted. You don't. Everything you do with full enthusiasm. My dad, I think he says it was Vince Lombardi. I don't know if it's true or not. You'll be fired with enthusiasm, fired up with enthusiasm, or you'll be fired with enthusiasm. So be enthusiastic. Do, and I guess it just stuck. And you know, sometimes my passion can get me in a little trouble because I'll get a little more passionate or aggressive than maybe some people think it should be. But most of the time, it's definitely out of love, because I want that person to be, yes, when I was coaching the kids, it's like, I want them to be the best they can be. And sometimes they don't know what it is. If you don't drive them to the best, they don't know what it is. They think they've worked hard. They think they've run as hard as fast as they could. They think they did all of the, whatever it is, the next drill, one more push-up, whatever it is to get better. And we all, you got to help people break through those mental limitations to realize that
absolutely
and become mentally tough.
Yeah,
So,
I was never the athlete that you or Marshall or my dad was, but the same's true, like you say, across business or professions. And I see the same thing every year teaching at LSU Law School. These kids can do so much more than they think. In the summer, our trial advocacy program that I alluded to earlier, sometimes kids will come in there knees knocking, nervous, not wanting to take that class, or they want to be anywhere else in the world, and they don't think they can. And you've just got to force them into the arena, if you will.
Yeah.
Say, go fight. Now, it's a different kind of fight. It's verbal, not physical, but same principle applies. And you're going to learn lessons with every victory, and you're going to learn more lessons with every loss. But it's the man in the arena or the woman in the arena that matters and learns and grows.
And look, I've been through that. And I've been through times where, it's like I'm driving up to a location and things in life are going pretty tough, or, it's like, man, I got to, and I'll sit in the car and like pump myself up, like get in there and go get it done. You know how to do this. Go fix it. And go and work on their technology, do whatever it is, and make it happen. Or in Parish President, go. It's like, man, I don't know how to be.
Folks, I think we might have a connection issue here. I hope you guys can hear Robby.
I can hear you.
Robby, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We had a connection issue, and your whole last little story or answer didn't. Would you mind kind of going back, because unfortunately we didn't hear that part?
But I'm not sure exactly where it was, but just the idea that sometimes when you're having rough, maybe your whole life is kind of loading up on you. You think it is, and you still got to go focus on the job you need to do right now. And so driving up to a client, I got to work on something. There's 1,000 things going on in my life that I need to deal with. It's like, well, I got to go take care of this client. Let me get in there and get it done. Or now as Parish President, changing hats. One minute I'm on economic development, next minute we're talking about landfill, the next minute we're talking about an employee issue, the next minute we're talking about how do we buy bulldozers. So
and you've gone up to like 150,000 clients or constituents. It's a lot of bosses, so to speak, zinging at you. Speaking of Parish Presidency and the parish that you run so well, we've got a comment here from your right-hand man, Joe Thomas. Joe, thank you for chiming in. Joe's a buddy of mine. We're on the group text talking, picking on Tony Licciardi.
I hear about that sometimes. I hear about that.
We have a lot of fun with our friends. We're not the nicest group of buddies, but we do have a lot of fun. But Joe says legends. Joe, there's an old saying, it takes one to know one, right? So secret agent Joe Thomas, as we called him once upon a time, and now Parish CAO, I think, if I got those letters right.
That's right.
Your chief administrator. Talk to me, Robby, if you will. You mentioned your dad, your coaches, these great influences who kind of taught you to be the man you are. You also mentioned how much you enjoy being part of a team at Southeastern. You're not playing golf or tennis or any individuals. You're a team guy by nature. I've seen you coach, and coaches are teams of a coaching staff. Joe's your right-hand guy. He does such a great job. How have you assembled a team with leaders like Joe to run our parish so well? Can you tell us about him and the rest of the guys that you have kind of leading that charge?
I'll try and sell it kind of quick, and there's an easy way to jump off to 2 or 3 directions when I start this. But basically, we campaign saying we love Tangipahoa Parish. We're going to work hard every day. We're going to do the right thing, and we do that. We did that. We're still doing it. But I also said that we would let anybody that was at the parish have a chance to work with us, and some things are going to change, and we're going to do it well. The only person that I told that I wanted to come and work with me while I was campaigning was Joe. And he told me no. And so then I won, and I asked him, he told me no. And then he came and helped. This is where I'm saying we can get off on all kinds of stories. He came and helped in the first 2016 flood in March. And he came to kind of be an advisor and kind of help me just because he'd been through those things with the state police and so forth. And so after that, he was kind of like, I could tell he was waiting for me to ask him. So I asked him a third time and he said yes. So we got him in. But all the folks that stayed with us and understood, look, growing the computer business from me by myself, touching every machine, to over 100 plus 120 people or so, 3 locations, a wholesale division, selling 500 machines a month. I couldn't touch everything. So I went from being a micromanager to being probably to a fault a delegator. So whenever I came in and Mr. Burgess in front of me was a micromanager, so I became a delegator. You know, they all started working for this guy who's an excessive delegator. Like, what's your job? Do it. What's your job? Do it. Go do it. Go do it. And what we found out is those were some really good people, and they were doing their job phenomenally well, especially if I got out of their way. So I was just learning from them and listening and watching and making a suggestion here and there and let them go do their thing. And it really worked out phenomenally well. And Joe having a different personality, of course, than mine, and the two of us work well together, where he can go handle something handle it all, knows what I'm thinking and how I'd like to see it happen. And I go handle the things that I need to, and he's handling all the minutia of it and the daily details. It really works out real well for us. And look, there's a lot of incredible people at the parish. I'm not going to name any because I'll get myself in trouble, but all of them.
Yeah, you have too many to name. If you name 5, the numbers 6 through 10 will be mad. So we don't blame you there.
Those directors we have, they understand. We set the bar. We know where it needs to be. We know what we want them to do, and then we manage that and watch that and keep the expectation where it belongs. And they hit it. I mean, look, we make mistakes, and that's okay. The only people that make mistakes are people that are doing things. The people who don't make mistakes are sitting on their hands doing nothing. So the idea that we make a mistake and sometimes somebody might not like it, hey, I'm okay with that. Let's roll. Just don't make the same one again. Let's figure out why we did it. Let's fix it and go. It's been a long time, but it came back just now. Again, the only people that don't make mistakes are the ones who are sitting on their hands doing nothing.
Yeah. Oh, and there are lots in this internet age with social media. There are a lot of those critics sitting back with their keyboards talking trash. But I noticed that y'all do a great job. And one of the things I admire that you and Joe and the rest of your team do well or work well with, y'all play well with others, so to speak, meaning municipalities, whether we're talking about, mayors like my good friend Wesley Daniels or police chiefs like my brother or whatever, legislators, you name it. What's a key to that collaboration that's helped you succeed over the years?
It sounds like a cliche, but I don't care who we as a whole group, we don't care who gets the credit. Just let's make it happen. Take care of our people. Whether we help a city do something or a municipality, or whether they help us do something, if it improves the lives of our citizens, we all win. So it really, all of our folks they'll tell you, it's like, just do it. What do we? I don't care if our name's on it. Yeah, you can. I don't care. Just get it done. And we try to say yes everywhere we can. We work as hard as we can to get to yes in everything that we do. Whether it be a developer, just make them follow the rules. Everybody follows. All of our directors, if they're watching, they'll know this one too. Everybody follows the rules, or nobody follows the rules. So we're gonna make it as easy as we can, but we got a set of rules we got to live by. The council puts those in place. We administer them. But as far as working with our cities, we've been really lucky. We've got a lot of good, hardworking people there. Sometimes they just don't have. In some cases, they don't have the resources, so we fill in where we can. Other places like Ponchatoula, like Hammond, like maybe Independence, and I shouldn't list any of them. They can handle a lot of their own, but we're there to boost it up if they need to. And in some cases, they're helping us too because. We need them.
Well, you mentioned your council, and you've got a fantastic council from, the folks we have here representing us so well in Ponchatoula. My childhood St. Joseph schoolmate, Strader, who's an all-star, Bridget, who was my buddy Bert's big sister and also doing great work. And then, your more senior folks, David Vial, Nick Joseph, these are men that my father revered and I grew up admiring my whole life. They're there to, it's kind of these senior wise elders at the top of the mountain to guide the newer folks along. What's your experience been like working with that council, and what's kind of some of the keys to a successful president-council relationship?
Look, I think, one, we have a really good open line of communication. We're talking to them all the time. Whether I do or Joe does, our directors all have full authority to talk to council members, whatever they need to. We still want to direct the work. We still want to make sure that we're staying on our project path properly. But to stay in touch with them, look, when I got elected, before I took office, and then each term since, whenever we had new council members, I meet with all 10 of them one-on-one and just talk about the idea that, look, you can disagree with me. I don't mind you disagree with me about an idea. And Donna was the one, you triangulate, you put that idea out there in front of you, and you put your arm around each other. And we attack an idea, and we talk about it, and we can disagree, because when you disagree, you come up with better ideas and better solutions. And so, as long as we don't ever make it personal, and we just only talk about whether we like something or not like it, I'll get along. You can disagree with everything I think of, as long as you're not making it about because it's me. If it's the ideas are bad, that's okay. We'll work on them until they're better, until you like them, and then we can implement them. So we have that conversation, and we stick to it all the way through the term. Look, there's some spirited and enthusiastic conversations sometimes about it. But that's how we come up. That's how the various ordinances get better, and our policies and procedures, whatever it is that we have to do. And it keeps us all on our toes. But at the same time, whenever we all get it done, and we come up with a solution that we all can agree on, and every now and then we'll get a 8-2 vote or something like that. But that's okay.
Yeah.
We don't take it personal, and so it doesn't. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I assume, having done this as long as you have, having as much success as you've had, and a few pitfalls here and there, as you alluded to earlier, you've learned some lessons. What comes to mind as some of the lessons you've learned along the way, through your leadership all these years?
Listen to the folks who have the expertise. Learn more whenever you don't know something. Make sure you get the information. I think one of the ones I've been pretty good at this is, if somebody comes, and you'll have this happen in your business, that happens all the time. You come get one side of a story, right? It's like, okay, let's talk to the other person. Let's get them in here. Let's figure out what's going on. And and then
hopefully there's a video to for the truth. I'll never forget the early part of my career when First Defense DWI was part of the repertoire, and you get the story of what happened. You'd read the police report of what happened, and then you'd see a video, and it was none of the above. So.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So and I kind of feel like if you make decisions, you need to have the parties together talking about it.
Yeah, good point.
And if they can't get together to talk about it, well, then maybe there's something else going on that we're just not going to be able to resolve it. But and look, that's partly with the council. We try not to just talk to one. We want to make sure we're all on the same page. But employee wise, we work hard to respect them all and make sure that they're all working hard, and that we support them in what they do, and we got a really good crew from the laborer all the way up to the different administrators and directors. So I really don't like to say it, but it's a fun job. I love what I do.
Really? That's surprising. I'm glad to hear that. But you know what I noticed here? You kind of started with listening, and I'm tugging at my ear, because growing up, the lesson in our house was God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Now, of course, with 3 lawyers and a politician as the 4 kids, listen.
Your poor mom.
Yeah, right. But basically, that's not only the cornerstone of how you personally act, but when you're talking about bringing folks together, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to foster communication and help people improve their listening, so that one side, hears better from the other. Got a couple of great listeners here who are chiming in with comments I want to share with you. One is Dr. Tony Licciardi. Tony, maybe you were listening when I was picking on you and your Ole Miss Rebels earlier. I better watch out in Hammond City Court. You don't want to mess with the administrator. But Tony, who served many terms on the Hammond City Council, knows well, what you're talking about. And another young leader who saw a father as one of the best leaders we have, and himself as a rising star, Derek Wheat. Derek says this is an excellent interview, and we both contribute so much to making this parish the best parish in the state. And he says to you, Robby, keep up the great work. Derek, I can tell that Robby's marketing is working because you have, put his tagline in there, word for word. So I'm glad to see you guys on the same page. At the Wheat House, they're doing some listening. Derek's not only a great young leader, an entrepreneur like you, Robby, a business owner, but he's also a heck of a dad. I mean, I see him raising his kids. We take our little boys fishing together, and he's putting in the work at home to be the great dad and the spiritual leader that you mentioned earlier. Robby, it's 5:35. I promised I'd get you out of here on time, and you're very busy as our parish president. So let me do this. Let me ask you, we've covered a lot of ground. There's no way we could get to everything the people will want to hear from you, that I would want to ask of you. But as we look back on this brief interview, is there anything that we haven't covered? Any topic on your heart, on your mind, just anything at all you want to share with our viewers? Now would be a great time before we need to let you go.
I'm sure there's I could go on a long list, but I think the biggest one is I'm so grateful that the citizens voted for me to be here. It's been a phenomenally rewarding job. I don't think of it as a job. I don't mind doing it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if that's what it takes to do it. I'm just so grateful that I got to be here. And the best parish in the state came about because I talked about in campaigning that we were going to be the best parish in the state. We're going to work hard to be the best parish in the state. And as I started working and we went through a flood, the stuff we did in the first year, and I watched our people and watched the other parishes that I was going visit and dealing with and talking to the other leaders, whether it be a parish president or a police jury member, listening to them was like, man, I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem. No, we got that. Now, we don't have the money that some of them have. We don't have maybe all of the resources and the various services that they do. We're still kind of on that rural side, coming out of the rural side.
Yeah, it seems like we're transitioning. We're a transitional parish, if you will.
We definitely are. But I sort of was like, man, we are the best. Why do they call us whenever they need something? And they're calling our people, not Robby. They weren't calling me. They were calling our people, wanting to know about things like, hey, I'm going to start claiming it. So I claimed it. But it's a little bigger than that, because it's really about, I've told all the other parish presidents, they better believe they're the best parish in the state too. Because if they don't, they're either not working toward it, their people should move out of their parish. What's going on? If you don't believe you're the best, then start working toward it.
Hey,
if you are the best, then tell everybody. I'm okay.
Go claim it. Sometimes you just got to go take something. And I'm about to make your wife's hometown mad, but I'll just say it. Ponchatoula wasn't always the strawberry capital of the world, but we went and took it. We said, Hammond, y'all are picking the berries. And Hammond back down, and we all know where the Strawberry Festival is. And I'm married to a strawberry queen, and I met my wife at the Strawberry Festival. Sometimes you just got to go grab it.
I'm married to an Italian festival queen. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. We got it covered. Well, that's neat. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And I want to close here. We received a comment here I want to post from an old friend you'll remember from those Layrisson Sheriff campaign days, Abner and Jennifer Neal. He was known as Trey Neal back then, but the Reverend Abner Neal knows a lot about being a father and a spiritual leader of a household, as you do, Robby. And he says it's refreshing to see two men who love Tangipahoa Parish come together and talk about all the good things that the people often take for granted. So thank you, Neal family, for sharing that. That's a wonderful quote to end on. Robby, thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, your wisdom with us. We really appreciate you. We didn't cover everything we could or would, and hopefully we'll get you back here in the future if you have time. To our viewers, our listeners that stuck with us to the end, thank you so much. We'll be back with you next week. Y'all take care.
God bless. Thank you.